Hi, we're about to start, everyone, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello everybody, I wasn't given the warning that I usually get sitting here flicking my hair. I'm Lizzie and you are watching live from Lizi. Today we're going to be making 5 in a flash, and if you have historically come to me before and seen any of our videos that are loosely called 5 in a flash, we generally tend to don't be very flashy about it. It's not necessarily the quickest of videos. However, I'm going to do my best today to share some really pretty and really straightforward cards that are going to be easy to replicate. If you're crafting along with us, please let us know in the comments. I always find it really interesting if you're doing the same thing, if you've got something completely separate on your desk, or if I'm in the background whilst you're working, or please let us know how you're joining us. I will do a super quick run through of what we have done so far this month. So our current kit, please excuse the state of it because it's currently being loved very hard, is the Blush and Bloom. So we started shipping that yesterday, and I'm quite confident we will have every kit on its way by Thursday. Friday at the absolute worst, but I do think that we're getting through it really well. And this is the kit that Liam has just popped up on screen. So you can get lots of lovely papers, ephemera. The stamps are absolutely gorgeous. I haven't even worked with the die yet. There's so many things that I'm very much looking forward to, and we have got so many more videos coming up. We have a fun fold this Thursday evening, which we will be making using the Blush and Bloom card kit. So these are the cards that I've made. I'm going to flip you down to from the top. So we did a one sheet wonder last week, and we just picked one of the pieces of patterned paper and we took one sheet of cardstock from the kit. Which we then split into 4 panels, and then we took 4 pieces of ephemera and I just decorated accordingly. So these were those 4 cards from that one sheet wonder. And I'm really pleased with all of those. I didn't sentiment any of them so that they can all be whatever they need to be. And with colour palettes like this and with artwork that is so soft and gentle, they could be a sympathy card, they could be a wedding anniversary card, they could be a birthday card, they could be anything. So they are the 4 cards that we made using just one sheet of the pattern paper, and you do get 12 in your kit, so that's a really good start. We also, the previous week, did some stenciling techniques, and I used one of the panels and turned that into 2 cards. As you can see here, I used some really lovely soft oxide colours which don't show up particularly well under our super bright lights, but on the close-up camera you can see a little bit there. We did some stamping and some inking and some offset stenciling here, which Liam very proudly said to me, "Have you thought about offsetting this stencil?" I said, "Well, you sat through a video watching me do it, dear." So yes, we have thought about it. And these were some of the other bits and pieces that we did in that video as well. So that is there on replay if you didn't manage to catch that video live. So I'm going to pop that kit out of the way because it's the sort of thing that I will knock and send flying. So today we are using Rise and Shine. The Rise and Shine card kit is from our vault. It's one that we have had previously released, and we've been asked to pull back some of our lovely previous kits, as you can see up there. Now, my kit I have pulled apart and exploded all over my desk so that I've got it ready to be able to pick apart and play with. So as you can see at the bottom, you get a whole swatch of really pretty pattern papers, and they are actually double-sided. So you get to choose which you like the most. You've got a full die set, which makes various different tags and small little icons. We have our drops. So these sit proud and will turn into like enamel dots when dry. You can also treat it as paint. It's all opaque and shiny. There's lots of adhesives. There's double-sided sheet, tape and glue dots, stamps, sequins, ribbons, really pretty iridescent mesh. So yes, there is so many bits included, not to mention the stencil there. But I did some prep work for the one sheet wonder that I did last week with the Blush and Bloom, and these were the cards that I came up with. Now these were also using that Rise and Shine card kit, and it is actually exactly the same one sheet wonder. So although they looked completely different, This is the same style, which lets you know that a one sheet wonder is not a one trick pony. You don't only have to do it once and then consider it done forever. That one sheet wonder needs to stick with you. So they are the Rise and Shine cards that we've done. We are going to make another 5 today, and I do have to offer an apology in advance because we have got some gentlemen here replacing our windows. So they promised they would leave my studio alone at this time, but they did not promise they would leave the rest of the house alone, and sometimes it gets really rather loud. So apologies again if that becomes too much. If it does, please let us know. Right, so I'm just going to start by taking a sheet of pattern paper. This is one of my favourites. It is greens into pinks using yellow. I think that makes sense. Does that make sense? But we're going to make a really pretty card using this. We're going to use the stamps. We're going to use some acrylic. We're going to hope that Liam is going to be able to locate the baby wipes that are under my desk at the front, because my fingers are going to get messy. So this might be an interesting choice as the first. Oh, well done, dear. Let's hope that they are actually still wet. Yes, just about. That will do. Right. I also need to put forward, I'm going to say this quickly now. I say it in most videos actually, but I have these swatch sheets. I keep them all together. I have all my pencils, my markers, and it's BV 4.4. No, 4.5. Sorry. There was a pen that I couldn't quite find, so Liam needs to find it for me now. Now, I've gone through my oxides holding up the pattern papers like this. I do this all the time when I'm picking out which colours that I want. And if I know which piece of pattern paper, for example, Festive Berries is a really, really good match for the red in this particular sheet. And on this side, the Villainous Potion is a good match. Purples are a really tricky one, because I find this with everything, with Copic, with Olo, with oxides, with all of my various mediums. Purples there just doesn't seem to be enough of. So anyhow, I have picked, by pulling lots of sheets across, some oxide inks. We do have some in stock. We have the minis, and we have some of the actual distress inks that are not oxide. We have a few. Anyhow, these are the colours, if you have this same kit, that I recommend you have on your craft desk when you sit and start to play. So Chipped Sapphire, Twisted Citron, Shaded Lilac, Dry Marigold, Picked Raspberry, Pine Needles, Fossilised Amber and Spun Sugar. They are the ones that I think are going to be good to have on hand, because largely they should work with what the pattern papers and therefore the little twinchies are going to enjoy. So that's those. I did pick some violets. BV 4.2, which is Bellflower, 4.4, which is Globe Thistle, and I have got the 4.7, which is Elderberry. But we can't seem to find the Concord Grape at the moment, but Liam is working on that for me right now, although I don't think it's there. And I'm getting a head shake, so we might have to improvise and ask him to alternatively find BV 1.7, which isn't ideal, but we will make it work. It's called Iris. Anyhow, inks at the ready, pens at the ready. Oh, I did also grab a Wilted Violet spritz. So we're just going to play. Here we have one of the pieces of pattern paper, which I think is really pretty. I do have to double check the back just to make sure that I'm not cheating myself out of something that I would truly love. I have some card panels that are cut to size already. I do need to make card bases, I believe, because that I was not organised on. We need to make 5. So let's get those done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that was a good guess. So, scoreboard. Now you've all seen this done a million times, but you also, I'm guessing, know that I like a top fold card. So I push the cardstock up into the top as far as possible. I use a Teflon bone folder because you don't get any residual shine. When you use a plastic bone folder, such as these, they're great. And on white, it doesn't really matter. But if you sometimes like to do a coloured card base, just regular plastic, you'll get a shiny line. So I would recommend a Teflon bone folder. Okay, did you not listen to the numbers? He didn't listen to the number that I actually asked for, so he's holding up a big bunch. BV 1.7. Sorry, everyone. We'll try that one. Thank you, dear. Okay, I've scored in, and now I fold so that the mounting is on the inside of the card, because when you open that up, it looks really nice and professional. So there's 2, 3. My default is a white card base because I like the clean look. I do sometimes deviate away from it, but I would be more inclined to do a coloured panel. And I think having a coloured panel attached to a white card base means that you are free to do whatever you want on the inside. If you use a navy card base, then you'll need to pop an insert or something to be able to write, or locate your white gel pen, which invariably will run away if ever that's, because that is exactly the sort of thing that happens to me. Okay, we have now 5 card bases. Let's decorate them. I want to use this, and I want to use the fluff from my cardigan, the pink, and I think I'm going to use the green as well. And I'm going to hope that I haven't left them. Nope. Oh gosh, that one's splattered out already. So that's good. I'm just going to sit the caps back on top. So if you've got this kit, press them together, push both ends in and twist, and it will release the lid for you, she says. There we go. And are we good with that one? Yes, we are. Lovely. Okay. I'm going to take a card panel, and I'm going to get a messy mat. I don't really know what I'm going to do with this other than make my hands messy, which isn't often my speed. Oh, let's pop that out of the way. So let's just put some of this down. That'll do. And then let's pop some of this down. I think, as I say, I don't really know where I'm going with this. So, no, I'm just going to use my finger. So, I'm just going to smudge the colours somewhat together, but not mixing them overly, I suppose. This is very technical. And I'm not usually a person for messy fingers, but there's an exception. There's a time and a place where breaking the rules are going to be different. Okay, a bit more. So I went in a bit tentatively because it's really easy to add more, but very difficult to take away from. So let's smudge a bit more. I'm only doing it on either side because I want to use this really pretty paper in the middle. And I do also want to leave some white because I think having white showing adds, it's a third colour. So it's not it's like finger painting, isn't it? I've asked you to join me today and we're doing finger painting, but I really like that. Now, this is why I had to have a wet wipe, because I wouldn't have been able to continue with a messy finger. So I am actually going to make this a wet wipe. A little wetter, or a baby wipe, however you like to refer, but I'm going to clean my fingers and clean my mat so that it's, oh dear, I say somewhat ready for next time. It definitely wasn't ready from last time, was it? Right. Okay, so let's pop that to one side. So we now have a very pretty green and pink. So I don't want to cut it just this way because then there won't be any green involved. So I'm going to cut a strip, and I think I'm going to do like 2.5 inches perhaps. I think 2.5 inches will be a nice sized chunk to run down the middle. Pop that back to one side, and let's see how this is going to look. Very geometric and then very messy. So I'm not actually sure that I'm super keen on that. I had lots of fun making it. Perhaps it just needs to be narrower. Perhaps that's what it is. Let's try it at 2 inches. I think this is... Sometimes you'll make a card that you really don't like. It doesn't sit nicely with you. But that doesn't mean that somebody else won't like it. So stick with it and keep trying. I know what I'm going to do to make this work. I have now made my mind up, that's fine. Now in the kit, you get an absolute ton of adhesive, so we're going to use it. God, I don't know what the machine's called, like a cherry pick machine. It's enormous. And they're moving it currently with panes of glass. So I'm going to put tape on the back of the pattern paper because that will make sure that it goes in the right spot rather than on my panel. Run along either side. I'm not going to worry too much about the top and the bottom because it will get trimmed once I've decided which end gets precedence. So as long as I've got tape like this, I don't need to worry too much about that. But, okay, so, yeah. There's different methods of removing tape on the back. You may know this one. I will show it to you just in case you don't. It's where you fold out the release paper, so you don't take the whole back off. Come on. And then you sort of, you duck it out from the edge, because that way, then when you turn it around the right way, you can move this bit up top until you find where you want it to sit. And you've only got that very small amount of adhesive exposed at the bottom. So make sure you're not pressing the bottom down. But it means you can line things up nice and square on your mat. And then you press down where the adhesive is. And then you just get to pull all your little tabs and smooth up. And then that way you have that stuck in exactly the center. So now I'm going to trim using some non-stick scissors because there is tape hanging over the edge. So I don't want to gum up my good ones. Take those edges down. And at this point, we have a panel, but I'm going to grab some of our Love from Lizi peel-offs. We are going to see if I have got in my stash, which I hope so. I really should hope so. The white with gold finish straight. Yes, thank you. I do. Okay, so these are the white with gold finish. I'll just pull you on the close-up. So obviously I've started using them, but these, it's a white sticker, but as you can see here, the edging has got this really lovely shiny gold foil finish. So I am just going to run one either edge of our pattern paper, and all that does, it's almost like it adds in a little matte, but because it's got the shine of the gold, it helps tie the shine of the drops in with it. And I'm going to use one on either side. Oh, that was just long enough. That's nice, isn't it, when that happens? When you get an off cut and it's just what you want it to be. Oh, this is where you put rubbish in the bin. And then trim off the little tails. And that now, I feel, has got a much nicer edge to it. Okay, let's get rid of some of this rubbish because otherwise it will just stick to me again. So, at this point, I'm going to look at my card base. And I think I'm actually going to want to incorporate the white. So this is when I come to my magic bucket. These sit on my desk all of the time, and I am going to take, yes, I am going to use a stitched, oh no, you know, I'm actually going to show you how to stretch your dies further. Let's get to the stitched outers. So these have got the stitching on the opposite side to the cut on the outer edge. So if I die cut using this one, the stitching is on the frame. So let's have a look. So this one will give us the tiniest of frames. And I think that's the one we're going to go with. So I'm choosing this die because it cuts a really lovely rectangle size that's perfect to fit within the A2 card base. Here, the stitching is actually going to be on the piece that I throw away. Now, if you're making a frame and you want stitching, these are perfect, but this is me just trying to show you that there is another use to these dies. As I say, the stitched dies never leave my desk. They are always, always in use. Now, I'm going to make sure that I line this up in the middle because I want it to, I have put the patterned papers right in the middle. Oh, I thought I'd lost my cutting plates then. So, excuse the noise of all the people banging the door out there. I hope that's not being picked up on the microphone. Right, so slightly at an angle. I mean, to be fair, I should probably angle that a bit further just to be kinder to my machine. There we go. And now I'm just going to pass that through. And what that's going to do is give us a really pretty edge away. Okay, right. Obviously, I am confident with the humidity here that it's not going to be an issue of it being dry. With, depending on where you are in the world, make sure that your paints are all dry before you put that through your machine. And as you can see now, I have got a perfectly cut rectangle. In fact, I'll pull you on the close-up. So this, the purpose we have here is to cut and have a stitch on the outer edge, which creates the prettiest of frames, as you can see. And we could put that on the card, die cut another panel and put it in the middle, creating a white frame. That's not where we're going today. I just wanted to have a rectangle that didn't have stitching, that was perfectly trimmed to be the right size for my card front. And that's what we're doing. So this is actually rubbish, even though it's gorgeous. Now, this is going to get lifted up. I'm not quite sure if it's sarcasm or not, but I've been told that the video has been renamed because I'm not being quick enough. And as ever, dear, you are more than welcome to sit in this seat and make 5 beautiful cards as quickly as I can. For those of you that are local, please, please come along to Calgary Carnival and tell Liam off for me, because he's a right meanie at times. Sitting there trying to be live, got noise banging in the background. It's horrible to me. Right. I'm just removing all the backings. Now, I find it easier, without getting my head over and in the way for you, in popping the card round on its side, because then I can look at these 3 edges to check where I want them to sit. Now, I think we are about right there. Good enough. So we've now got really pretty, shiny, but not in your face panel. And we're going to do something super simple now. We're just going to stamp Spring Wishes. No, Hello You. Let's do Hello You. And I am going to do that onto just some of our regular cardstock. And I'm going to use a stitched circle, because we have them all here. Here we go. And I want the stitching on it, just because it's going to be white and it's going to be simple. There we go. This is my very well loved packs of dies. Or maybe one down from that, I think. Oh, hiding right in the corner. Let's see. Yes, you look lovely. Hello, you. I have to check just to make sure. It's always best to look at the one that's too big and the one that's too small, so that you know you've picked the right one. And that one, I think, is just too tight. So yes, we've gone too big, we've gone too small. So in the words of Goldilocks, this one is just right. So if I want to be able, let's pop the die down, move that out of the way, grab our little Misty, the mini of the Misties, and I'm just going to pop that on. Now, choosing the colour for the sentiment, you can use black, that would work fine. However, I think to keep it in line, it needs to be a pink, a green or a yellow. I hope you all agree. And I think, the greens I have out are Pine Needles, which is super dark, or Twisted Citron. It needs to be actually a green. After all of that prep work, I need to pick out another one. And I'm going to choose black, because I can hear Liam huffing at me not taking a choice any quicker. So I'm going to use black. Honestly, he's so mean. Do you even know you're huffing half the time? No, probably not. I think that's part of it. Right. You don't have to, I just needed oxygen. Yes, because of how long I'm taking, no So I also want to let everybody know, Calgary Carnival, it's a 2-day event in Calgary where you can crop for all day Friday. It's a long day on Friday, and Saturday it's a decent day, but it's an earlier finish. It's like a 5 o'clock finish on a Saturday. But what you can do is you can come along and shop, even if you're not going to crop. And because the days are so long, because the Friday is, I think it's like maybe 9 until 11 or something. It's a really long day, or 10. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check. It's definitely, if you're not going to crop and if you're out for the day, if you're able to sneak across beforehand, then I definitely recommend you do. Because if you're going on your, I think they charge like $5 or something for you to come in and just look, and we're going to be there, which obviously, you know, why wouldn't you? But also there are lots of other lovely vendors that are going to be there with all of their different supplies and ideas and inspiration for making. So I think it's a fun event. I've been there as an attendee for the last couple of years. It was one of the things that I was really looking forward to about living out here, actually, was doing the in-person stuff, because in England there just wasn't as much to do, basically. People didn't do the croppy things so much, or if they did, they didn't tell me about it. So now I've taken one of the tiny little flowers, just using my finger to prime that a little bit. It's a very delicate little flower, and I'm just going to stamp 3 of them, because we like the rule of 3, around my hello you. And we're going to leave that there. We'll wipe that. Okay, so how long has it taken me to make the first card? Am I as terrible as you make me out to be? 32 minutes. Is that including all the talking at the beginning? Is that since we've started? Oh, so it didn't take me 32 minutes to make this card then, did it, dear? Right, hello you. I'm going to pop some bigger foam pieces behind this one, because I want this to lift away. 1, 2, 3. We don't want it to fall apart, so we will support it well. Nobody likes a saggy sentiment. And then I'm going to pop that here. Now, because I've used black, I feel like I need to put black somewhere else as well. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. I do. Actually, no. That didn't take long, did it? Had a quick look over to the embellishment bag. And we've got navy sequins within, but there is a bit of black ribbon here. So let's tie a bow. Right, tying a bow. Hold the end, make a loop, pinch it on. Grab the long bit that's attached still to the rest of the length. Wrap it around my thumb and poking it in. Now, I appreciate lots of people know how to make a bow, but this is how I make them, and this is how I make them small without cutting my ribbon first and having a load of leftover nonsense at the end that I find frustrating, because I don't like wasting my ribbon, I don't like wasting anything. And this way, I feel like I can create the bow I want. And yes, there will be a small bit of waste, but not a lot. So let's make sure we've got this as a nice balanced little bow. And give that a snip. There we go. So there is a tiny bit of waste, but if you cut the ribbon from the length, that can get really... And then for these, I always use a glue dot. People are looking at me through the window. It's very off-putting. I know they're just doing their job, but it is weird nonetheless. Right. So I'm taking the glue dots, popping it on the back. Now, I decided which side the back was by which way the bow wants to sit. I want the knot to want to stay on the card base. If you put it on the other side, it will be resisting the glue dot. So pop that down, and I'm just going to pop that there. And now, although it was a super white and bright and shiny, because I've put the bow and the little flowers and that, the black actually is allowed. So 5 times 30 minutes, get comfortable. I think someone's going to be cooking their own dinner tonight, don't you? Now, card number 1. We made it an interesting card. It's fun. It's nice to not just do run of the mill. Okay, everyone. Should we do a monochromatic card now? Let's go with purples, because there's lots of really pretty purples in this. So I am going to grab my papers, my patterned papers. Let's move that out the way. We don't need that. Card bases and card fronts. Sorry, if I don't organise this, we're going to have a terrible time. So we're going to use our stencil, which is a really pretty... Let me explain the purpose of this stencil. So when I designed it, it's lots and lots of circles, and you can't... Maybe if I pull you in the close-up, you'll see that there is an etched square within. So that circle has lost half of itself, and this one as well. So you've got an exact 2-inch square there. So the twinchies that come in this kit fit perfectly within that stencil. And the twinchies, you have a sentiment stack and you have a patterned paper stack. So, and these work ideally with this, but also, not just, also, all of the stamps fit within, all of the sentiments, so that you can use this twinchy to your heart's content. So it's a fun stencil. Okay, so let's go purple. Let's find some purple paper. Oh, that's a good one. Just purples. And then I think, yeah, one of these ones will work really nicely. That's purple as well. Okay, so I've gone through the pattern papers. Now, in amongst, I know Liam flicked through it very quickly at the beginning, but the kit is ram-packed. You've also got all these lovely cutter parts. And on the back, if you don't like cutter parts, you've got, oh, that's a really pretty one. You've got these really nice papers. So that also bulks out the patterned papers that you could check. And I just thought I'd have a look in case there was a purpley one that I was overlooking. But here, I think I'm going to use this one, because I like the blooms, and we've got blooms. Yes. So let's get a card front. So I'm just starting with a flat piece of card, and I am going to, oh, hang on, what colour cardstock came in the kit? Let's just have a quick look. I didn't rummage through those, did I? So I am going to, let's get the shaded lilac. It's all going to be purples. It's going to be a lot of purple, people. I hope you like a purple card. So I am going to get a really big brush, and I am going to purple the front of this panel. I'm not blotting it off, I'm not worried about the messy mat because I'm just from the middle radiating outwards so that I can get a really nice hue. I just don't want it to be white. I'm okay with it being very pale, but I think I've managed to get some foil in that. It's terrific. Okay, so that's the shaded lilac oxide. Now I've got my lovely purple. Although since we've moved, I haven't come across my scraper. Liam, dear, under the desk at the front, there may be a scraper tool. So I am going to actually stamp before we go any further. I'm going to stamp right in the middle. I will use my Misty because I want to make sure I get a really good impression. Is there a white scraper tool in there? No. Oh dear. It's okay, I have my palette knife. It's just not what I wanted to use. Okay, so tone on tone. I'm going to use, oh, Sarah's got a purple craft room. That's lovely. I've got a wooden one. It's all wood in here. And the bits that aren't made out of wood are painted grey. What colour is it in here, Liam? It's grey, isn't it? Or is it white? It's not white. It's a very soft colour. Okay, I'm going to do this a few times until we get a really lovely crisp impression. Okay. That's good. I'm going with that. Now we're going to get the stencil. I will need the messy mat, I've decided, because I don't have my big scraper tool. Let's pop that one back. Grab you out. Put you back. I feel like I spend half my life getting things out just to put them away again. And now, because I have stamped, I'm hoping that just about on the camera you can see, I can see quite comfortably where I've stamped. And so now I'm going to tape. Now I'm going to tape up here and I will do the bottom half of the stencil first and then I will move where the tape sits. Now I'm not too worried if it goes on the outer edges because I am going to trim this down so that it can sit onto my card front. So this, I am going to squeeze out a big old blob and I have a palette. A scraper would be ideal here, but I'm just going to, you know, you could use a credit card. Obviously not the one that you pay for all of your lovely Love from Lizi products with because you'll need that again. And I am just scraping across. I'm not shoving hard, I'm not dragging so that it will not sit nicely through the stencil, but I'm creating a blob, making sure the stencil is down. You can use different, there is pixie sprays, there's all sorts of different mediums that you can use that will hold your stencil in place. Magnetic mats, I think people use as well, using magnets to hold things down. All sorts, whatever it is that you don't mind if you get your mediums all over. I like to use repositionable tape or washi tape, whichever it is that I have on my desk at any given time. and I'm just going around scraping in at different angles, but I'm not scraping hard because I don't want it to splodge underneath the sides of what I'm doing. I need a bit more here and around here. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, was it? Right. This is where we keep the wet wipes, very handy. As I say, I'm not worried if it splodges over the edge. I do just want there to be a nice covering all the way around. And this will come off with water. You don't need any special, and if you get it on your clothes, it really isn't the end of the world because it will just come away. It's not a nasty, it's one that you can play with kids with. I'm not having much fun with it today, am I? Right, you, and all of you. This stencil has depth to it. So you scrape the medium across, and once it's filled in the hole and it goes dry, it will have shape to it, which I really like. Not everyone does, but it's each to their own. I'm feeling like it's splodged, and it has. How rude is that? Okay. What we're going to do now then is decide how, look at the splodge, because I smashed it too hard. Now, I'm going to abandon this idea, which is a real shame. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share a video of the card that I have made previously using this technique. I'm going to pass this over to Liam to clean up and deal with. And we're going to move on to the next. Okay, so that's very frustrating when things like that happen, isn't it? Let's go, we're still going to go with purple, purple on purple on purple. And we're going to do this by, I feel like I want the darker purple actually for this now. Let's grab Villainous Potion. Yes. Let's grab Villainous Potion. And I'm going to also steal some of our lovely purple cardstock. This actually does come in the Blush and Bloom card kit. And I'm going to take the cardstock from here, but it's just because it is the actual perfect purple. Look at that. We are going to stamp out some spring wishes. We're going to use some dies as well. I'll get over myself in a minute. Okay. Really pretty. Yes, this is how we're going to make this. We're still doing a purple card. I'm not giving up. I am going to die cut oval, and I'm going to die cut a frame. And I think we're going to choose, yeah, a little bit smaller than the base for the purple. So, going to get my big snips and cut the rectangle free. So we're going to have this and we're going to have this. Before I die cut, I am going to stamp. So, big flower, sorry, from our stamp that comes in. I am going to, I'm going to stamp on the die. I'm going to stamp on the piece of cardstock that I've just cut. And I'm going to use a Villainous Potion because it's this really lovely deep purple. And I'm going to create by twisting and going off the edge and leaving a nice big gap in between. I'm going to create a background pattern. I am being sure to make sure that they're twisted and that they're spread. I don't want this to be a focal point because we have got a really pretty busy paper that's going to be on top. But I do want a bit of interest to be in the background, just not excessive. Okay, maybe just a little bit in that top corner, just so that it doesn't look empty. And I'm going to call that, yeah, I'm going to call that stamped. I was half tempted to add something in there, but then I think the gap's going to be too small. So let's wipe this. Oh no, yeah, it happens though, doesn't it? It does happen. The whole splodging out, it was because I worked it too hard trying to get a really lovely 3D finish to it. What I should have done was put a layer on and then set the whole thing aside to let it dry and then come back in with a different layer and so on and so on. But I didn't, and that's on me. Now I've done the big first, and now I'm going to take this little sprig here, which is really cute, and I'm going to use the same ink, the same Villainous Potion, and I'm just going to pop a few in between. And as with the flowers, I'm going to make sure that I twist it so that they're not all the same orientation. And I'm going to try to not create a box around. There we go. That worked out okay in the end. And then I can have this one coming off the edge. That's nice. Using the same colour ink on cardstock, I think is really pretty. Now, how am I going to squeeze? I'm not going to, because I'll end up regretting it. So I'll go off the edge there. I will twist and use, oh, I've made a right mess of my acrylic block now. Can't rest that down. That's it. I'll go there. And I will call that done, because sometimes less is more. So clean the whole thing now, otherwise I'll be getting purple ink on all of it. Okay, so pop that back, pop that back. We are going to die cut with an oval here, and we are going to rectangle die cut from this one. The reason that I stamped first was because there is a stitched detail on this die, and if I pull out, I'm being pointed at something, but I have no idea. Oh, okay. Because we have a stitched design, if you stamp afterwards, that cardstock is depressed in. So I actually want the stitching on this one. So I'm just going to grab out my, here we go. Just going to grab this set. I'm going to take you. Yeah, I'll take, oh no, I'll go down one size. I do want to have a really nice white border. Yeah, that's the one. So I have been using this die set for years. I absolutely love it. It's yeah, it's really versatile, and the stitching goes with all sorts. Cannot recommend them enough. When you're die cutting from double-sided pattern paper, double check the back, just in case there is a certain part of the pattern that you really want to keep. I am good with these as they are. So this and this. We also have in this kit a sheet of specialty cardstock, which I'm going to use in this card as well. And this is what, maybe on the close-up camera, it is a white wave. There's the dies again. Yeah, there we go. So you can see it's like a pearlescent and it's got this really cute wave on it. So I'm going to use the next size up oval to give this one a pretty little frame. I do believe we are going to be talking about this one. Yes, we are. So, because my oval is going to be facing up, I want my waves to be going. Oh, do I want them to be going sideways? That looks really, I'm actually going to do it sideways. Having made a choice, I am flipping for a change. And I'm just going to snip around, making sure that I'm leaving enough room. Okay, 1, 2, 3 dies to go through all at once. That's very economical of me. So we have 1 going up here. You could, of course, put your die diagonally so that it wasn't left or right or up or down. That's just me being careful with my specialty cardstock. And then we have our very pretty background that we just stamped, tone on tone. Making sure that we grab a little bit of those edge pieces. And then we finally have this one, which I'm going to allow the paper to hang out of the end of my plate so that I don't have to cut it and be wasteful. So let's pop those through the die cut machine. Now, left this in a right mess, haven't I? Right, we don't need this here. We will need the stamps, but we can pop those to one side. Let's get the lids. Okay, so bin, back with all of the other papers. And now we have our very pretty pieces. You can, of course, use a die, an oval die, that is the next size down from this one to cut out the middle so that you're not losing special paper. I do, however, recommend right in the middle, the ovals I am going to have hanging off of the side, and I'm going to stamp Spring Wishes on some white. So we have to turn it over because it's dirty on that side. And we are going to use the Villainous Potion again. Where's my little block? I've tidied it away somewhere. It's wonderful tidying up until you can't find anything, isn't it? There it is. I've got it. Oh, just big enough. Right. Spring Wishes. Press that down and hope for the best because I didn't prime the stamp and it's new. Good enough. And then I'm going to snip this. Snip this away and use my little mini chomper. And I'm using the bottom edge of the stamping on one of the lines on my grid as a guide as to how far from the edge of the sentiment I am cutting. And what that will do is it will result in a very tidy looking sentiment on a square, well, rectangle. Let's get rid of this. And grab just a gentle brush, give it a little bit of a, because it's a dark colour, you want to pull it from the side and across and in. Now I'm using my fingertips with my nails to hold that in spot. I'm not giving it a super even blend, it is just a blend. And it's just to take some of that white away. I don't want all of it to go, but just enough that it's not white anymore. I haven't cleaned that. Just about to put that back. Let's quickly wipe that so that when I pick it up and I'm holding something wet, I'm not going to regret it. Right. Spring wishes. Now let's do some assembly. We haven't even used the glue yet today. Oh, we haven't because we've got tape in the kit, didn't we? That's foolish of me. Right. Okay, so we've done a whole purple card. Tape. And this is that lovely finger tape. So you stick it down, you put your finger where you want it to stop, and then you just pull it up. Which, not having to use scissors, not having to be thoughtful about picking those up makes a big difference to me. Right, so all around the edges. And I'm going to do that same method that I showed you with the patterned paper to start with and fold out. And I do one corner and then I do the opposite corner. Because as long as each piece of tape has got a tag hanging out from it, then the removal is really straightforward. And it's better to have two opposing corners than it is two side-by-side corners. Check your card base. Now you need to make sure that your tags are sitting out. And then I'm actually using what you can see to line this up rather than getting my head in the way. And when you're happy, put your finger on the corners that don't have tape. When you know that this and this is in the right spot, you can pull your tapes out and encourage them down and do the same, this one and down here. And then you have got a perfectly centered without the worry of picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, catching it, so on and so on. Makes so much more sense. Right, now I'm going to put some adhesive behind my oval and I'm just going to twist the tape as I go. I'm going to do 2 tags to make sure that I can position it again as I showed you with the back. So pull this end away down here and then do the same here. Just pop that to one side for now. And I'm going to position this looking at the top and the sides. Now there is slightly more space at the top and bottom than there is on either side, and that's just the nature of ovals, otherwise they're not oval. So now I can pull that piece out and I can pull this piece out and smooth that down, and it's in the right spot. Okay, so now we have, this is going to get lifted up on some tape. Let's have a look. Right. Okay. We are very nearly there. Let's just get a little bit there and there. Now, there's a good chance I'm going to cut this edge of the oval off, but I want it to be supported. So I am still going to pop, even if it means that I'm going to have a harder time cutting through, I'm going to get this down here. Now I'm going to position it by eye. Now I can put it up, I can put it down. Obviously I can put it straight into the middle, but I like the idea of more of this paper showing, and I'm going to put it slightly up rather than central. And I'm going to call that there. Flip it over, open it up and grab some big scissors. Now I'm going to use the edge of my card base. You could also use like a trimmer or a guillotine to do this, if you would rather not, because you are chopping through 2 layers of cardstock and potentially foam. But if you cut it once you've stuck it on, you know that line is in the right place. Now it's just a case of choosing where you want your pen, and I think I'm actually just going to pop it right down there. I'm going to stick it flat on there, and I'm going to pop some foam behind this corner. So let's grab a little bit more of that tape. And pop that on. Okay. Remove all of the release. I'm not too worried about putting tabs on this size because I'm quite confident I'll be able to get it where I want it to go. Spring Wishes. Pop that down, stick that on. And in the embellishment bag of this kit, if I can find it, which is now buried, of course, there are some super cute little gems. Here it is. And they're iridescent, so it's not leaving the purple look. Let's just grab a knife. So we will get one down here. I mean, you could do the centres of all the flowers or that dot on the Spring Wishes, but I'm just going to pop a few of these little twinkly sparklies. There we go, just 3 of them on there, and then you've just got a very pretty card. So we've done 2. Liam's going to tell me off for how long I've taken now. I did mess one up, so what are you going to do? Right, 2. Just 3 to go. Let's do a quick card to appease the man that has to endure my making. He's a good sport, really, isn't he? Right. Where are my Twinchies? Twinchies make for a super quick and pretty card. Oh, 1 hour and 10 so far. Well, let's see if we can improve. What the Twinchies are all of these lovely little sentiments, and they really are super pretty. And I'm just going to select one that I really like the look of, that I feel like would be a very nice make. I'm just running through them for you all so you can see, and then you get 2 of each. So, thank you, Nedra. The two that were good were pretty. The splodgy one, I'm going to have to try and make something with that and share it with you. Let's have a look at You Are the Rainbow in My Sky. That is a very pretty little phrase. And then I'm going to pick two more that are going to work really nicely with You Are the Rainbow in My Sky. Oh, so the umbrellas are really cute. So are the flowers, because they've got all of the colours. Oh, look at all the hearts. They're a definite. Let's go hearts. And then, yes, a solid pattern. So there's pink or yellow. And I think we'll use yellow, because I don't use yellow very often when I make. So there are now 3, but just so that you've seen them all. The purple would have worked really nicely as well. The little hearts. Oh, and the butterflies, they're gorgeous. Okay, so, and then the top one. Oh, and the stripes. So many, I could keep going. Right. We have 3. Now, let's choose a paper that's got lots of lovely colour to it. Or, this is the reverse side of the one that we used earlier. And I think that's actually really pretty. That could work, because it allows the little ones to sing. That's really nice. As is the blue. I think we're actually going to use the back side of the one from earlier. And it's also nice because we've already chopped it. And yes, that's really nice. We'll use this. Okay, card base, top folding. So this was the waste piece from our first card. There was this, and there is actually also a very thin slither somewhere else, buried forever. But if we pop this on our card, and yes, I think it's going to be very pretty. The thing that's nice about Twinchies is you can overlap them and you can create like a mess almost. They're just tiny, they're like little sample pieces. Oh, I'm showing that upside down to you. They're just little upside down pieces. And what also is really nice is that these will work with dies. So if you've got a little flower die and you want, it's just a very small, tight pattern. So the circles would work really nicely. Or we have a stitched square, so you can just put some stitching on the edge. I'm not going to do any of those things because we're going to keep this card as simple as possible. So I'm going to stick this in the middle of my card base. That's where we're starting. So where's my tape? Tape's here. And because, as before, I'm not sure where I'm going to stop, cut the paper off. I'm not going to bother putting tape at either end. I'm just going to make sure that it is going to be very well stuck down by running a piece down the middle. Put that over here. So fold the edges out. And I'm going to have more of the yellow than I am the pink, because I think the yellow is just that little bit softer. And smooth that down now that I know that the bottom is all lined up. And then pull my tapes. Sometimes the tape ties, tear. Couldn't have made that up, could I? That was exactly what I was intending would happen. So what I'm going to do is pick up from the opposing end, take the tape, and I'm not pressing down because I want that end to unfurl, and it has. So that was me going to be trying to explain something, which would have been quite tricky without having the opportunity. Flipping it over to the back, using that edge of my card base as a guide as to where my blade drops down. And now we have the card front. I think these two slightly twisted and then this one straight. And I am going to pop behind that. What am I going to pop behind that? I don't want to use black. It's going to be too harsh. In fact, let's just edge them all. That's a better idea. Messy mat. I am going to use chipped sapphire, which is actually a bit darker than necessary. Let's grab some Salty Ocean, which is a really lovely blue that's mid blue. Oh gosh, it's the one that nearly caused an avalanche. Salty Ocean. So it's more of this mid blue. And I am actually just going to drag the edges. This is one of my favourite ways to get an intense amount of ink around the edge without blending. So I'm holding the pad and then at a sort of a right angle, I'm just dragging. Now, if you want, as you can see, there's only a very small amount of the blue on there. So you just lay it a little bit flatter. You close that angle down from here, you go to here, drag, and it just gives it a little bit of a softer drag, and then you'll get a little bit more ink. As always, start off with the right angle and then increase, because otherwise you're in a position where you can't take away. But you can always add. And by just popping this tiny little bit of ink around the edges, it ties all three pieces together, because they've now all got this nice blue around the edge. And it will stand them up a little bit when we pop them onto the paper. So I'm going to foam lift all of them. So let's have that at the ready. And until that time, we're going to pop a nice little peel off. And because of the nature, all I want to do is put a nice pinstripe on it. We could use a straight, but what I would like is a white with silver, or a blue, but you know that whatever, in fact that will work perfectly. These are our ocean peel-offs, and I am going to use the middle width. They have got, as you can see, they're a really lovely gloss. And let's pop that just along either edge, just to give a little bit of definition away from the paper to the side. And it also ties that blue in really nicely then, that way. So one on each edge. I'm doing this now before I stick my twinchies in situ, so that it gives the ink that I've just applied a little bit of an opportunity to dry. And right, 1, 2, 3. Hopefully they're all going to be nice and dry now, she says. Let's just trim those tiny tails. Okay, so this is the top of my card. I am going to stick this one square at the bottom. So let's I am sure that there is enough stability, but I don't like the look of the sag. So I'm just going to do these tiny little extra pieces as extras. I'm being particularly cautious to not drag my fingers along the edges of the cards, because oxide ink does take a little bit longer to dry than dye ink because it has this thicker pigment to it. Okay, so if I stick this one down first, okay, so I'm now holding it by the edges, so I need to be aware that my fingers may become inky. Right, pop that one there. And then these, I'm going to sort of twist to have coming down. So the yellow will go next, and then the hearts will go atop. So I'm going to take off the backing and sort of hover it over where I would like it to sit. And then the same with this one. And as fate would work out, where I want to overlap them, I only need to move this ever so slightly. I want to overlap them here. So I'm going to pop just a tiny bit of glue on that corner so that it doesn't flap up. But we now have got the space to twist that. And we've used these little twinchies with some paper and some peel-offs. I'm going to pull you in on the close-up actually, so that you can see the colours, because they are really lovely and bright. It's just because of how white we have to have it in here. And then at this point, it's just a case of how you want to embellish it. Is it going to be with sequins, with gems? You could stamp some little designs in just to zhuzh it a little bit. I am going to use some of the gems because I've got them in my hand. And what we can also do is some of the drops, because we've got a whole array of colours of them as well. So let's just pop one in each corner of this panel to draw attention, because this is the one that has the sentiment, as it were. In fact, I'm going to call that done now because I don't want to overkill. And I think that's another very pretty card. So we've now got 3 done. Where are we going to go next? I think we should go to a cut apart. Cut apart making is lots of fun, because I think historically, whenever I used to sit down to make my 10 card 1 kit videos, I would, my first card would be using a cut apart, because the complicated bit is done for you. So let's have a little, I think we're going to use springtime, and we're going to use this piece of bunting here as well. You make my heart flutter. It's gorgeous. So, so cute. Right, let's snip out. In fact, I'll use my little mini chomper on this to make sure that we get a nice straight edge. Pop that one over. And then I'm just going to do the same again here. Now this, I will snip with my scissors to get exactly where I want the cuts to be. Okay, so we now have a very pretty banner, and we're going to cut this piece in just the same fashion. Just going to chop those either side off and away, making sure that you've got your paper pushed all the way up to this top edge, and then giving a really nice... And when you drop the blade, make sure that you are pushing it, encouraging it across at the same time, because then that way you will get those really nice sharp edges. So we have springtime. Let's get a card front and see how we are going to make this sit. Well, that's tricky, isn't it? So I'm now going to manipulate this very pretty piece, and I'm using the edge of the print, the leaf there, on the line of my guillotine so that I can trim. And I'm going to use that same edge on the bottom of the sentiment and on the edge of that leaf again, and then on that top leaf. And now all that's done is just trimmed down some of the extra, but it's still kept a very balanced border. And what we have is a smaller piece. Now this, I'm going to break all of the rules now, everyone. I'm going to cut this. It is a 2-inch wide piece of bunting, and I'm going to now cut ½ an inch off, and then I'm going to cut a ¼ of an inch off. Then I'm going to cut a half, and I'm going to cut another ¼ again. So I've turned what was one big banner into lots of different pieces of bunting. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to make this a side fold card, as you may have noticed there. I'm going to pop that here. I'm going to pop, how are we going to do this? Let's go like that, I think. Almost like they're curtains around it. So let's adhere. My brain fizzes in the background, and Liam tells me that when I'm thinking, I stop talking. And that obviously isn't too much fun. When you're watching a live, it's nice to hear someone explain what's going on in their head, but unfortunately, half the time I don't even know what's going on in my head until I've made my mind up. So explaining the thought process is really tricky if it's a real-time process. So taking off all of these backing pieces now. And I'm going to put my card base square to the lines on my grid mat. And I'm going to place this ever so slightly across to the left-hand side and stick that down. So I've just stuck that flush. Now these, I am going to, in order that I chopped them, attach them onto the front, but I want to create a little bit of background noise. And because there's a flower there, I'm going to take this flower stamp. In fact, there are 2 of these flower stamps, so I'm going to take both of those, and I'm going to use the spun sugar. Now, spun sugar isn't going to show up very well on the video now, but we will make sure that we take pictures and share with you how pretty it all looks afterwards, I promise. So I'm going to put one on one side at the edge, and then I'm going to put the other one on the other side at the edge. I often do this when I'm creating a background, because then that way I can just flip it over to put the other design nearby. Now, it's best not to stamp the flowers upside down. It's not the end of the world if you do, but I think the eye doesn't like it when there's things that are the wrong way round. So I'm just stamping a few, just because I don't want there to be a big expanse of white. Making sure that some of them I send off of the edge into the extra and beyond. Now I've stamped a few of that style. I'm going to twist my block over, and this is the smaller one. I will always start with the larger stamp because it's easier to fill gaps in with a smaller one than it is to try and create space or put a bigger piece in later. So just twisting and popping it down. Now I'm just going to make sure that I go above the top and the bottom a little bit. Use that one as well. And now that background, I'm going to pull you on the close-up because, as I say, with the sponge sugar, it doesn't show very well. If I say close-up twice, he might listen. Yep, there he is. So, as you can see, it's really faint and in the background, but it's certainly there. And you could have done it before sticking down here, but we are where we are. We can go back to usual now, dear. Thank you. And I'm actually, at this point, going to use our pink drops from the kit. I'm going to squirt a small amount onto my finger. This is going to go terribly wrong, isn't it? I'm actually asking for it. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's not do that. Let's squirt it onto the mat and then use our finger to drag away. We don't want that going everywhere. So I'm just getting some of this pink on my finger and I'm going to drag it. You can do this with a sponge. You certainly do not have to use your finger. But I am just going to drag all along the edge and in using this pink. I've used a pink ink to stamp, so I'm using a pink again. If you replicated this card and you'd used a purple ink to match the background of the cutter part, by all means go ahead and use a purple. But I really like this because it's shiny and it's messy and it's fun and you can paint it on properly. You can be a grown-up, but this is my excuse. This is the time that I get to be a little bit messy and not feel too bad about it, and it just adds a bit of shine. And you can do the same around this panel as well to tie it all in together. And then make sure you have lots of nice wet wipes to clean your hands and your mat straight after. You could also go around the edges of the bunting there. That also would work nicely. But right, let's get some glue on the back of these and get them sticking. So I'm sticking everything. Oh, that nearly went into my coffee cup. I'm sticking everything flush. It's all coming from the top down, so sorry about my head there. But I'm just sticking that on top. Then the next one along in sequence so that the pattern follows. I'm going to pop a little bit further in here, making sure that the gap in between the two pieces is the same at the top as it is the bottom. And then this is what was the middle piece. I didn't intend for them all to be cut the same sort of width apart, but it is where it is. And now I'm popping this down and I'm ever so slightly covering the edge of the cutter part with that one. And then I'll do the same with this one, so it is just like almost like curtains that are peering. Oh gosh, I've got glue on my fingers now and everything. It's a real messy day. Yeah, just covering over that edge ever so slightly. Oh, that's... And I would recommend wet glue for this bit because you may need to smudge it about to get it into the right spot. Next is the final piece. And I will put that quite close to the edge over here. Okay, so we have a single layer card at the moment. I'm going to use some glaze over the mason jar because that will look, dear oh dear, my hair everywhere, air bubbles in my... Having a terrible time of it today, but I'm having lots of fun in the process, so it could always be worse. Now, just to really cheer Liam up, I've just popped that glaze on there, and in the kit there is glitter. Now, I'm going to put you on the close-up for this. For those of you that don't know, Liam is not a fan of glitter. So it comes in a self-sealed bag. I have a little spoon. You can use anything that works, but I'm taking the smallest amount here and I'm just going to tap it so that the glitter lands in that glaze. It's not going everywhere, it's not all over my face and in my hair, which is what happens. Liam will look at me and be like, you're covered in glitter. And then I can tap it back into here. I'll close my bag very carefully and a wet wipe. I will wipe my tool so that all glitter is contained here. Give it an extra wipe somewhere else to make sure. Pop that one back. And now I'm going to give that a little tap so that anything that's loose falls onto the wipe. Fold the wipe over. And it's not even, they're loose in the bin now. Are you proud of me, dear? Okay, so now we have springtime card. We have a nice little sparkly mason jar and no contamination anywhere else on the desk. I do need to leave this one on top of everything because when I made cards last week, I ended up splodging because I'm not used to the whole multiple thing. Okay, so we have now made 4. We have 1 more to go. And I'm going to have a very quick look at these Twinchies as sentiments because they are really very, very sweet. Enjoy the little things. That one's going to get used. Let's see what else we can do. I do often enjoy when I'm putting a kit together to try to make a card that doesn't look like it's using the colour palette. And that is sometimes is really straightforward and other times it's really not. So just double checking through, all better together. That's very sweet. Ampersand, me and you. The So Good is also very pretty. Best friend celebration. Right, okay. So enjoy the little things. Now let's just have a quick look at our patterns that go with. Now, the other nice thing about these particular patterned Twinchies is some of them are really small. So we'll take this one because it is exactly the same. And then we just get to choose one more, which would be like a hero. We could go pink, raindrops. The paper is too thick to flick them, so I apologise for the slow. I'd really like the butterflies. I think we should use the butterflies. Let's go with that. So, butterflies, enjoy the little things, because they are very little, aren't they? In the kit, there is a really lovely navy. Although, having said the navy, I think these are going to stand beautifully from that. Yeah, I'm going to back them on the navy and then we're going to mount them onto here. That's how we're going to do this one. So these are 2-inch square pieces I'm going to grab my trimmer and I am going to chop just off of the end 2 1/8 because I want the tiniest of little borders to sit around these very, very cute little twinchies. So, yes, that's going to look very nice. Now I can just use the smaller one. So I want 2 1/8. And I need 3 of them. 2 1/8. One more. Okay. So now with these 3, we can sit our little squares directly on. I will use some glue to get these adhered down. Let's just get the gluing all, oh gosh, asking for it now. Get the glue all the way along the back and then we can just stick them all down. Okay. One. 2. 3. Right, so they are very nicely stuck down. And this cardstock is like buttermilk colour and it matches those butterflies perfectly. So 1, 2, 3. These are great for waterfall cards as well. I wouldn't dare trying to do a waterfall in a 5 in a flash because Liam would tell me off for how long it would take me. But if we, yes, I think that's going to look really nice. We're going to cut this piece of cardstock down to 5.5. I'm going to cut the cardstock in half and then I'm going to cut it down to 3.5 so that I have a centre panel which will result in this look. Now I can at this point put a little piece of something across the middle, and to do so we need to very quickly consult our patterned papers, which I have very carefully buried, and it's a pattern that is going to work with the 2 of these. The pink is the winner so far. We have got more though, so I will double check just to be certain. I need a bigger desk. Does anybody else find that? That actually works as well. These work, but the middle ones. Let's use these little tiny daisies. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Or sorry, Liam, I should say, probably. Sorry, Liam. He doesn't enjoy the thinky bit. Right, so need a piece of paper that is the same size as this. So I'm going to get my pencil, mark it down, and I'm going to make it about that size, and that is quite literally my measuring process. I look at it and think that will look nice. Yep, about there. Give it a snip. Flip it, push it in one way. In fact, yes, I do want to do it that way because I don't want to chop all the way down the line. Oh, and that is actually, by eye, that is 1 inch, it would appear. So I have cut a 1 inch deep piece of card there. And look at how pretty that is on the white. Even without the yellow, it goes so nicely. Right, let's get these onto the panel. I'm going to use glue. And then I'm going to use those straight white peel-offs with the gold finish again. I'm just going to pop this panel directly into the middle. That's on there. The straight white with gold finish, I'm going to run up either edge again, just because I don't want to take away from the designs, but I also want to have just a little bit of shine. So either side of this panel, and one on one side, one along the other. Oh, and then snip those tails off. Pop them back on the sheet for another day. And then let's towards the bottom, I would say about 3/4 of an inch up. I'm just popping down this little piece of patterned paper. I'm going to have that one sit over the top, and these sort of making sure the butterflies are the right way up, like this. And just to keep in line, I'm going to grab my pinstripe Love from Lizi peel-offs, and I'm going to use the middle width from here and just run that along either side of that purple piece, just to tie in the straight with the gold finish, and also helps land that purple piece nicely by keeping it uniform. So the straight peel-offs are like the big sister of the pinstripes. I'm just going to trim away at the top here. I've just noticed that my cardstock was ever so slightly longer than my card base. So trim that back. And now let's trim these tiny tails off from the peel-offs. There we go. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. This one flat. And slightly twisted. This one slightly lifted. So we will use some foam tape. Oh, wanting to jump up there for me. Okay, and so I'm just going to dry fit where I think I want that one to go. Yeah, I'm going to pull it up ever so slightly, but I want to keep it within the bounds. I don't want it going over the white edge. And then this one, I'm going to stick the highest at the bottom. So I'm going to put some big lift in this bottom corner here. and then a little lift on the top corner, just so that it doesn't lift off and away. So we can stick it onto that raised butterfly piece. Okay, enjoy the little things. So, my lovelies, we've made 5 cards after a fashion. We got there in the end. So I have to keep this one up top because, of course, it's still drying. But these are today's 5 cards using the Rise and Shine card kit. I really, 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 really hope you enjoyed and crafted along if you were able to. I didn't go in the direction that I thought I was because this is a 5 in a flash and I'm generally not very flashy when it comes to being quick. Liam said to me this morning, have a little look at the kit and see where you're going to go. I thought, okay, yeah, that's a really good idea. So I sat and I pulled the kit apart and I was like, right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. I didn't do any of them. I didn't do a single one. It's very difficult. I'm not good at planning ahead. I can either sit down and make, and then I will come up with whatever I make, and then I can teach, I can break it down, I can recreate. But to try and think, oh, I'll do this and then I'll do this, it just doesn't, my brain refuses to work that way. So I'm really happy with these cards. I think they are all a little different. These two, it's clear that there is a theme, but I really do enjoy the look of the Twinchy and finding things that match together. And making them look slightly different. Just putting these on a bit of dark cardstock, whereas these being inked, it does change the flavour of the card. And using a dark peel off here and a lighter peel off here. So this was fun. I enjoy the glittery water. I think that's making the most out of a cut apart piece, and one bunting being chopped into multiples. Just because it looks like a piece of bunting doesn't mean you have to keep it looking like a piece of bunting. Do what you want. This, I knew that I wanted to get messy and play, and the geometry with the messy, it works. It's fine, it's different. And this is what I would call a classically pretty card. When you use monotone, it always has the facility of looking nice and tidy. So I'm pleased we managed some stamping, some peel-offs, some glitter, some mixed media and stretching dies. I really enjoyed myself. We will find all of the cards that I've made historically with this kit as well, and we will share them in the link because they are, as you're aware, they got re-released. Shipping, we believe, will be finished by close of play Thursday. Is that fair? He's ignoring me now. So who knows? You will all get your tracking information just as soon as we have shipped your boxes, and there's a lot of boxes to get gone this month. We have released widely now the Let's Make It Manly class. This is going to be held in the beginning of May, where I'm going to teach you how to make 10 cards and how to make them masculine. And they will be assembly because we will fully kit your class so that we can actually talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it. I'm being reminded to ask you to click like. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please click like. It does make a difference to our channel. It embarrasses me greatly, so Liam likes to tell me every time to say this, so please do. But our Let's Make It Manly class, you will make 10 cards. They will be great for brothers, parents, partners, if they warrant a card. But we will have a lot of fun, and I will explain my process on how I put together a masculine card. And it won't be live, so it will be really organised. You can sign up through the front end of the website now. It was open only to alumni and there was a discount, and that ended on Friday. So it is available to people that haven't got the alumni yet. But as soon as you've joined one of our classes, you will be a member of the alumni and you get offered early bird and a discount rate on every future coming class. The Make It Manly kits will be sent with your May kit. So, no, not May, April, my apologies. They're being sent a month essentially from now, which is why we have released them now, so that they have got plenty of time to get on their way. If you are a subscriber, they will be included in your April kit box. If you're not a subscriber, they will be shipping from the 1st of April. Of course, if you are subscribed, the shipping is free for it to go into your kit box. You just pop your VIP codes in at checkout. And I think that's about all from me. There is a newsletter with information about Let's Make It Manly going to be on its way out to you tomorrow. We are back Thursday evening with a fun fold using the Blush and Bloom. It's just one card, which I'm sure will really sadden Liam because it probably won't be a very long video. Thank you ever so much for sticking with me. I really hope you've enjoyed it. And until next time, please make something beautiful.